With the Premier League gearing up for potentially its most exciting title race in the last few years, any team between Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal have a real chance of winning it. In this video, we're going to talk about why Arsenal could potentially win it and the disadvantages and advantages of all the teams right now. Let's get into it. Now, I know there's been lots of ups and downs for Arsenal this season. Specifically in December, there was a big down and we weren't playing very well and just lost 3 games. Now, obviously, if we didn't lose to Fulham and West Ham, Arsenal would probably be in a much better position and be top of the league. Despite that, they have definitely recovered and they are still in a good position. They're only 2 points off Liverpool at the top of the league and there's 2 points separating all 3 of the top 3. I did a short actually at the start of the season talking about why I think Arsenal have a chance of winning the league, and now a lot of people laughed at me, and as much as I don't think it's guaranteed and I don't think it's certain, there's definitely a chance for Arsenal to do it, and they've proven that this season still being in the race. One of the biggest issues is Manchester City. Now, I don't still think Manchester City have been playing at a very high level this season. They're still really good, but I don't think they're anywhere near Liverpool and Arsenal right now, and I don't think for large parts of the season they have been either. I think they've really struggled to get into gear, and even though they just beat Brentford and drew to Chelsea, I don't think they looked impressive in either of them games. Obviously, they still missed a lot of chances. Now, Kevin De Bruyne coming back is obviously a huge W for them. He's one of their best players and he's probably one of the best midfielders in the world. He really helps them create a lot and gives Haaland 16 chances a game. However, I still think there's a lot of defensive issues with their team. Now, some games Ederson looks alright with his, especially his save percentage, and his saving's got a lot better, but on his feet he's been really lackluster the last few weeks and he's actually been giving the ball away a lot and he's not good under pressure suddenly. I think this and the fact it's been hard for their defence to find much structure is a bit of a problem for them. And usually teams against Man City don't really go for it, but you're seeing teams who do get a bit more success. I mean, Chelsea personally should have scored a couple of goals against them because Man City played a very high line, usually relying on Kyle Walker's pace, but he seems like he's lost some of his ability this season. Manchester City's record against the top 6 is also concerning for them. It seems like the teams have really got it together of how to play against Man City in their own ways. It seems like Liverpool and Arsenal and a lot of the top teams are starting to figure out how to play against them, or more importantly try and counter their best players such as Erling Haaland and De Bruyne. And I think they've been getting found out a lot as home and away. They're really struggling to score, and the in the end is a mistake that leads them to get some wins. I think against Everton they created chances but didn't look that convincing, and even against Brentford I don't think the same. And it'll all come down to them big games they've got to play. They've got Tottenham away, Liverpool away, Arsenal at home, some really massive games. I don't know all the big teams, all the top 3 do, they still got to play Man City, but Man City might have to get saved by them this time rather than other teams falling off, because it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I think Liverpool right now are probably the favourites for the title. I think they've been really good this season, and I think at the start I was critical of them. I didn't think they'd played well and I thought they were getting a bit lucky, but they were getting results still, so you got to credit them for that. And since then they have been so good. Even with the players out, they've been able to prove their qualities, and as soon as Klopp has figured out that midfield problem, it seems to be much better. The team seems to work. I mean, there's still some issues with some of their players like McAllister and Endo working together, but I still think overall it works. And with Klopp leaving in the summer, they're going to want to win it for him this year, and probably Salah as well, so it's probably the last year in a few years Liverpool can compete this intensely. I think overall Liverpool's defence has been improving a lot this season. I think there is still a little bit of inability there, and I do obviously think Arsenal have the best one because they do at the moment, but they should be fine if they can convincingly keep scoring the amount of goals they are. They have got a lot of injury problems and it seems to keep getting worse for them. Last game they got another couple of injuries and it seems like eventually it's wearing down the team. Fortunately for them, they have a lot of good depth, especially going forward, so they should be able to cover. Teams are going to be out for them this time and they're going to be really paying close attention to how they play, and even in games like when they played Burnley at home, they weren't overly convincing, but they didn't need to be on the day. And one of the most successful things about Liverpool is the fact they press so intensely, they press so high the pitch and win it with ease, and this makes them be able to have so many shots a game when teams set off them. But when teams have actually going a bit more confident against them, they have been a little bit struggling, and I think they got largely found out against Arsenal, who obviously are playing very well. So it'd be interesting to see how they play in other games. They're obviously got the Anfield boost, this is massive to them, and when they play Manchester City there's going to be a big game at Anfield, but they don't have to play Arsenal anymore, so Arsenal have to rely on other teams to get results against them, which could be for the best for Arsenal overall. Arsenal are the most intriguing team in the title race right now. Everyone thought they were out of it when they lost 2-3 games in a row, 1 in the cup, 2 in the league, and they looked awful, and before that they weren't really playing very well, but they were still getting results. Since then, since the Dubai camp, since January, they have actually been amazing, and obviously everyone knows the form they are going around thrashing team with a lot of tactical strengths and brilliant from different ways. And the control they have on games is so good. They sometimes concede stupid goals by poor mistakes, but but often every single game tactically they're defending and being very comfortable on the ball. This is why they've conceded the least amount of XG this season, and have actually conceded more goals than they should have, which is a bit unfair. And with the average age of the squad being 25.2, it's going to be hard for them to still get over it, but I still think last year was a big improvement for the team, and I think they've learned a lot from that and taken that with them this year. A lot of criticism on them a lot of the season saying they're not actually better, and I don't think necessarily going forward they were for a while, but now we're starting to see the full team flow in brilliant effect. Now Arsenal have a great chance this season, but last year everyone said if Arsenal don't go for the title it's on them and they probably won't get another chance, and I just completely never believed in this. I thought we're on a project, it's going up, and you can see that this year they've improved and they're still around about the same place they were. People need to start respecting Arsenal and realising that they're a team in this race, and they probably will be for a while, for a few years. All they're going to do is keep buying great players in the summers and work on their team. This isn't a flash in the pan moment anymore, and I think the team might have learned a lot from the last year's experiences and hopefully take them into this year, but they do have a lot to focus on. They got the Champions League. Manchester City won it last year. Focus is probably not going to be too serious. They're going to want to win it again, but they're going to have so many things to think about. And obviously Liverpool are in the Europa League. They can literally play their bench players probably until the quarter final, but with the injuries they have, this may be an issue in the later stages. Now obviously injuries can happen at any time, but Arsenal do have boosts. They do have some key players out right now like Timber, who will come back and probably improve the team if he plays anywhere to the ability we know he can. And also the fact that they're so tactically adept now and they can play in a lot of different roles in a lot of different games, it does make it better for the team. I think they have multiple approaches they could use with their full team against different opponents, and this could end up being crucial later on in the game, but it will come down to a lot of composure and a lot of good timing. They're going to have to catch teams off guard. People know how they play now, so there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on them. I also think because it's not the end of the world if Arsenal don't win something this year, I think maybe they won't be as serious for it and they could maybe potentially wait as a team, as a collective, but obviously you would want to win stuff anyway, and nothing's a guarantee in the future. And I do think Arsenal have a lot of benefits in this title race, but they're going to have to take their young team and be a lot more improved than last year, and they need to be so good in games such as Manchester City away, which they obviously lost last year, and the Tottenham's away and the United's away, which they didn't really get good results from last year other than Tottenham. They need to be a lot more controlled in these games and a lot more focused, and I know that we can say that about every game, but I feel like Arsenal are finally getting to that stage where they are really, really good, and they need to show it consistently now. We've got Porto today, and then we've got Newcastle on the weekend, who they obviously didn't always get a result against last year and this season as well. If anyone's watched my channel, they know who I want to win this title and they know who I support, so it's quite clear it's Arsenal, but I still think it's not the end of the world if they don't this year, but I'll be very disappointed if the performances get worse and drop off to an extendable amount. But it's a long time to go. We'll see how it is, and we'll see how the end of the season goes. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your view as always. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, I recommend going to watch my video I did earlier where I preview the Arsenal and Porto game. That's going to be tonight if you're watching this. Let me know what you think about the game, and thank you as always.